I'd argue that nothing beats the smell of fresh waffles straight from the iron in the morning. The perfect waffle has a crisp, golden exterior and a light, fluffy interior, and big pockets begging to be filled with maple syrup and a pat of butter. Here at Tasty, we've researched countless waffle variations to help you make consistently perfect waffles that could rival any diner. We're so confident in our recipe that we've even invited friends to do a blind taste test to see how our waffles compare to the most impressive frozen options on the market. There are so many types of waffles, from Hong Kong egg waffles to Stroop waffles to Scandinavian waffles. But today we're showing you how to make the best possible Belgian waffles, specifically from Brussels, which we felt were the most versatile and worth the effort. We'll also teach you some of the differences between Belgian, American, and Liège waffles, so you can be a waffle expert and let us know if you'd like to see those recipes on Tasty 101 next. Starting off with our dry ingredients, the flour, the base of the waffle. All-purpose flour might seem like the obvious choice, and you probably already have it in your pantry. With a slightly higher protein content, it develops enough gluten to give your waffle structure and a bit of chew. But we found it leaned a little too dense and chewy. We want a light, dainty waffle that won't make your jaw work overtime. Next, we tried cake flour, which has a lower protein content and makes for a beautifully light, crisp waffle. But we found it almost too delicate, turning a bit fragile and floppy as it cooled. After many trials and errors, we finally landed on the perfect flour formula. Turns out the Goldilocks solution is mixing all-purpose flour with a bit of cornstarch. The cornstarch cuts down on the gluten without messing with the structure, giving you waffles that are perfectly crisp on the outside. So we start with 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 1/4 cup of cornstarch, our sweet spot for that ideal waffle texture. To make sure your waffles have a nice airiness, you'll need a leavener like baking powder, baking soda, or yeast. Liège waffles and even some Belgian waffles traditionally use yeast. Yeast digests sugar and ferments, releasing CO2 that gives dough a nice open crumb, the airy texture created by the pockets in baked goods. Fermentation also develops flavor, giving yeasted waffles a subtle, tangy note. The downside is that this process can add hours to your cooking, and variations in resting temperature can produce very different results. For our waffles, we found it works best to stick with just baking powder. Like yeast, baking powder creates CO2 to form air pockets in the batter, but it's activated by liquid and heat instead of fermentation. It works quickly and consistently. While it won't give us the subtle tang of yeast, that's not an issue. These waffles are full of other flavors that take center stage. Now let's talk about flavorings. Every good waffle needs a bit of sugar and a pinch of salt, and a few spices can really elevate the taste. Feel free to experiment, but we found that just a touch of cinnamon and some freshly grated nutmeg was all it took to make these waffles shine. Next up, our wet ingredients. We know buttermilk is a classic for pancakes, and it can work really well in waffles too. Its natural acidity reacts with the baking powder, giving the waffles extra lift, a lighter texture, and a hint of tang, similar to what yeast would add. The trade-off? It softens the gluten, making the batter a bit looser and the waffles slightly less crisp. Whole milk brings just the right amount of fat and protein to create a rich, tender crumb without compromising texture. The results were consistent, so we went with 2 cups of whole milk. We experimented with a mix of buttermilk and whole milk, which tasted good, but just not enough to justify an extra trip to the store. Sometimes keeping it simple is the best. When it came to adding fat, we wanted maximum flavor, which naturally led us to butter. We tried melted butter. Flavor-wise, it's a win. The waffles get a rich, buttery boost, but the trade-offs? They ended up a bit denser. The extra water in the butter affected the crispiness, making them a bit softer than we wanted. We wanted the rich flavor of butter without compromising texture. Enter brown butter. It definitely delivers big flavor with its nutty, caramelized notes, but we quickly ran into a few quirks. The waffles didn't rise as much, giving them a slightly uneven appearance, and they weren't as crisp as we hoped. Again, flavor-wise, a win. But texture-wise, not quite perfect. So we went with 1/2 cup of good old neutral vegetable oil. With its higher smoke point, it won't burn as easily, and it helps the waffles stay crisp while keeping a tender, consistent crumb. Next, adding 2 whole eggs provides good structure and moisture as the eggs interact with the baking powder to give the waffles some additional lift. However, the texture gets a little denser and can be improved upon by separating the yolks and the whites. By whipping the whites to soft peaks, you introduce more air bubbles that make for a lighter, crispier waffle. We still want to keep those yolks, incorporating them in our batter without overmixing, since they add important richness and fat. After, gently fold in the egg whites with a rubber spatula, careful not to overmix. Now, it's time to cook. When it comes to choosing a waffle iron, we know there are so many on the market to choose from. Shape-wise, it's really up to your preference, whether it's round, square, or has your favorite cartoon character on top. But the most important factor at the end of the day is that it heats nice and evenly. We let our iron heat up for about 5 minutes before spraying with some non-stick spray. Then, scooped in 3/4 cup of batter per waffle. Cook undisturbed according to your iron's instructions or until your waffles are a beautiful golden brown. While the waffles are cooking, this is the perfect time to get your toppings ready. Thanks to their sturdy structure, these waffles can handle anything you throw at them. Chocolate, sprinkles, or anything in between. Want to keep it classic? You really can't beat a drizzle of maple syrup. When you're shopping, keep in mind that pancake syrup can look a lot like maple syrup, but it's actually very different. Pancake syrup is made from maple-flavored corn syrup, while real maple syrup comes straight from the sap of maple trees. In today's economy, we get that pancake syrup is easier on the wallet, but nothing beats the taste of a real maple syrup. If you let your maple syrup melt together with a little or a large pat of butter, we promise you're in for one heavenly breakfast or dinner. We don't judge. All this being said, this is one of our favorite waffle recipes, but there are other versions that are also delicious, just different. Specifically, you may have seen American waffles at your favorite diner and liege waffles wrapped up pretty as a dessert. American waffles are most popular in the United States as a breakfast staple. They're most commonly served in diners, cafes, and at home, often topped with maple syrup, butter, fruit, or whipped cream. These waffles typically have smaller, more numerous pockets and are a bit thinner than their Belgian counterparts. Made with a cake-like batter leavened with baking powder, they're tender and slightly dense and perfect for holding syrup, butter, and all your favorite toppings. Think Eggo. Liege waffles, on the other hand, sit at the opposite end of the spectrum. Named after their hometown in Belgium, they're made with a yeast-based dough similar to brioche, which makes them naturally more labor-intensive. What really sets them apart, though, are the pearl sugar crystals folded into the dough. They caramelize beautifully and form a crisp, sweet crust when cooked. In true Belgian fashion, liege waffles have bigger, deeper pockets than American waffles. They're richer and chewier, and just a little fancy. Think of them as the bougie cousins who studied abroad and spent summers in a chateau, thanks to their roots in French pastry traditions before becoming a liege classic. With so many pre-made waffle options easily accessible, it might be hard to believe that our waffles are worth the effort. So we had some of our friends come in for a blind taste test of our waffles versus some of the most popular freezer waffles to see how we did.
Do you taste any flavors?
I taste cardboard.
Just a standard waffle. I like them all. I love waffles. What can I say?
This one I'm excited for because it looks really nice. It has a little bit of a crispiness, but the inside is super fluffy.
Is it cinnamon?
Yeah.
Or is it like...
By itself, I taste the cinnamon.
That's a good waffle, good fluffy waffle. Just like fluffy, standard waffle.
Not a lot of flavor.
I'm not having any adverse reactions to this one.
I feel like I'm not gonna like this one.
It tastes more like cake than like a waffle.
Oh, this one's actually really good. It tastes like a pumpkin or something like that.
Oatmeal.
I actually don't think I'd be satisfied if I thought I was getting a waffle and I got this. That one has some crunch.
It does have more flavor than these two.
Yeah, I think I taste the health in this.
This one kind of reminds me of like an Eggo waffle, almost.
If I were to rank these, I would say 5, bad flavor. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Number 5, this one. 4 would be this guy. 3, this one. Number 2, this one. This was my favorite one though.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm gonna take the rest of this with me.